Most people believed the greatest threat to the British monarchy would come from scandal. They were wrong. Came from reinvention. Rain hammers the windows of Buckingham Palace tonight. The streets below are empty. The iron gates glisten under yellow lamplight, slick and cold. Inside, behind corridors that have absorbed 3 centuries of whispered decisions, something is shifting slowly, deliberately, and almost completely out of sight. The public does not know it yet. The press has not caught a scent of it. Even the most senior members of the royal household are only partially aware. But the shift is real, and its consequences for the monarchy will be impossible to reverse once it is complete. For months, a quiet campaign has been gathering momentum inside the palace walls. Not a campaign of speeches or public announcements. Not a press offensive or a documentary series. Something far more structural, far more deliberate. The kind of change that doesn't ask for permission. It simply moves pieces into position until the board looks entirely different, and by the time anyone notices, it is already done. Queen Camilla's Modernization Council has been meeting in private. Media strategists, reputation architects, political allies with names that do not appear on any official palace briefing. Their goal, circulated only in hushed language among trusted inner circle members, is nothing less than a complete repositioning of the monarchy's public identity for the next generation. Broader, louder, more global, more powerful, and somewhere deep inside the East Wing, a clock on a mahogany mantel ticks in an otherwise silent room. Princess Anne sits alone at a long oak desk, her reading glasses low on her nose, her posture exact. On the desk in front of her, a black archive case. Brass clasps, no label. She has not opened it in months. Tonight she does. Queen Camilla has always understood something the older generation of royals never quite accepted. Visibility is power. Not the quiet, dignified power of duty done in the background. Not the power of restraint and protocol and measured public appearances twice a week. Visibility in the modern world means reach. It means relevance. It means that when the monarchy's name appears anywhere, on a screen, in a headline, in a conversation, it carries weight rather than indifference. Her council reflects this belief precisely. Seated around a polished conference table in a private wing of the palace are people who have rebuilt corporate reputations, guided political campaigns, and managed the public identities of figures whose names are recognized on every continent. They are not aristocrats. They are architects, and the blueprint they are assembling is ambitious by any measure. The proposal has a name inside the council. They call it the expansion, and what it envisions is a monarchy that doesn't wait for public goodwill to arrive. It goes to find it. International media partnerships. A flagship digital platform carrying royal content directly to global audiences. Cultural exchange initiatives in Commonwealth nations where Republican sentiment has been building for years. Strategic alignment with causes that trend across social media demographics under 40. Some palace staff welcome it. The younger communications aides, the social media coordinators, the junior advisors who have watched the institution hemorrhage relevance among their own generation, they feel something close to relief. Finally, movement, direction. Others are quieter in their dissent. A deputy archivist with 31 years of service stops in the corridor outside the council room one afternoon, listens to voices through the half-open door, and says nothing. She simply turns and walks away, her heels soundless on the carpet. By the following morning, she does not come in. Her desk is cleared. A sealed note sits beneath her stapler, ink slightly smudged at the edges, as though written in some haste or emotion or both. Princess Anne finds out 3 days later. She sends no reply. She asks no questions through official channels. Instead, she walks to the East Wing. She opens the black archive case, and she begins. The note is written in the archivist's unmistakable hand. Small, precise letters, slightly left-leaning, the kind of handwriting formed in an era when penmanship still mattered. Princess Anne reads it once quickly. Then she sets it down. Then she picks it up and reads it again. Slowly this time, her forefinger tracing a single line near the bottom of the page. The fireplace beside the desk crackles. A log shifts, throwing brief amber light across the room. Outside, London murmurs distantly behind rain-streaked glass. The note does not deal in accusations. It is more careful than that. It names no one directly. What it does instead is point, with the quiet precision of someone who spent 3 decades handling the institution's most sensitive records, to a discrepancy. 2 sets of polling figures. One set distributed internally to support the case for the expansion. A second set, referenced in a footnote of a separate report, drawing from the same data period. The numbers do not match. They do not come close to matching. The internal figures show surging support for a more visible, globally active monarchy. Rising enthusiasm among younger demographics. Growing demand for exactly the kind of bold repositioning Queen Camilla's council is proposing. The public records tell a different story entirely. Flatter, quieter, no surge, no groundswell, just the long, slow, grinding erosion of institutional trust that has been underway for years, visible to anyone willing to look directly at it. Princess and sets the note down on the desk beside the archive case. She does not reach for the telephone. She does not summon an aide. She sits for a long time, the firelight moving across the planes of her face, her expression unreadable. Then she opens a separate drawer, removes a plain white folder, and writes a single instruction on the cover. Private audit. Internal only. Full records access. No clearance from King Charles. No notification upward. She signs it with her initials alone. The case has begun. The investigator arrives at the palace without announcement and without a name on any official visitor log. He is not employed by the household. He has no royal warrant. What he has is a 40-year career in institutional forensic accounting, a reputation for absolute discretion, and a manner so unremarkable that the security staff at the service entrance do not give him a second glance. He carries a soft briefcase and a thermos of tea. He is shown to a small records room on the lower ground floor by a single aide who speaks no more than necessary. He begins with the financial attachments to the expansion proposal. 3 days in, the picture that emerges is not what anyone would want to find. The external consultants attached to Queen Camilla's Modernization Council are not independent. Several trace back through a web of holding companies and advisory firms to a cluster of political donors, individuals with documented interests in the cultural rebranding of British soft power in specific international markets. Their involvement is not illegal on its face, but it is undisclosed. It has not been declared to any oversight body, and the nature of the interests they stand to benefit from, should the expansion proceed as planned, is substantial. The investigator sits alone in the records room late on the 4th evening, the overhead light casting a flat white glow across stacks of printed documents. He circles a figure on a spreadsheet, draws a line, circles another figure 3 pages later. He stares at both circles for a long time. The following morning, he requests a meeting with Princess Anne. When she arrives, he is already standing, his briefcase packed, his thermos empty. He does not sit down. "Your Royal Highness," he says, his voice barely above a murmur. "You're not investigating reform." A pause. "You're investigating influence." He is gone from the building within the hour. He does not return. Meanwhile, Queen Camilla's momentum grows. The council meets twice in a single week. New speechwriters are brought in. A global media rollout timeline is drafted, color-coded by market and quarter. The palace's younger PR team circulates celebratory messages on internal channels. Finally, they say to one another, the institution is moving. Finally, it is choosing the future over the past. 3 senior royal correspondents receive carefully managed briefings. Nothing confirmable, nothing sourceable, but enough to begin seeding favorable coverage. The narrative takes shape in the press before any announcement has been made. The monarchy is modernizing. It is opening up. It is choosing relevance. Queen Camilla herself carries the week well. She is measured in public, precise in private meetings, and generous in the way she frames the expansion as a collective endeavor rather than her own initiative. She credits her advisors. She speaks of legacy. She talks about the institution's responsibility to future generations with a fluency that impresses even those who came to the meeting skeptical. Inside the palace, the temperature shifts. Even some of Princess Anne's closest allies begin to wonder if the tide has simply turned. If the old guard has finally reached the end of its season. One long-serving aide, a woman who has worked alongside Princess Anne for over 20 years, pauses outside Princess Anne's office one afternoon and does not knock. She stands in the corridor for a moment. Then she walks away. Princess Anne sees none of this. Or if she does, she shows nothing. She continues her official duties without deviation. Visits, engagements, appearances, each one carried out with the same economical precision she has brought to every public obligation for 50 years. But in the East Wing, the audit continues. And on a Tuesday afternoon, a final classified document arrives in a plain envelope. No sender name. Princess Anne reads it standing up. She does not sit down for a long time afterward. If you found this story compelling so far, now is the perfect moment to like this video and share it with a fellow royal watcher who needs to see what happens next. Subscribe if you haven't already. We cover the stories the mainstream press won't touch. The public trust data in the classified document is devastating. Not the manipulated figures circulating inside Queen Camilla's council. The real ones. Drawn from 3 independent polling organizations over an 18-month period, cross-referenced against historical benchmarks going back to the early years of Queen Elizabeth II's reign. Support for the monarchy among British adults under 35 has dropped 11 percentage points in 4 years. Among adults under 25, it has dropped further still. In Australia, 2 parliamentary motions calling for a referendum on the monarchy's constitutional role have been tabled in the past 14 months. In 2 Caribbean Commonwealth nations, formal working groups have been established to study the transition to a republic. These are not tabloid projections. These are structural signals. The kind that precede institutional collapse, not with a sudden crack but with a long, slow subsidence. The ground quietly giving way beneath a foundation that no longer has the depth it once had. The resignation letters make it worse. 3 senior household staff members have left in the past 6 weeks. None of them made noise about it. None of them gave interviews, but their formal resignation letters, filed through official channels and now sitting in the private audit file, contain language that is careful and legal and still unmistakable in what it points toward. One letter, from a deputy communications director with 17 years of service, uses a single phrase that Princess Anne reads 3 times. A culture of managed perception that has begun to override institutional integrity. That is the language of someone who no longer believes in what they are being asked to do. That is the language of an institution in quiet crisis. Princess Anne schedules a meeting. Midnight, the chamber at the far end of the East Corridor. No agenda distributed. No aides invited. She calls it herself directly by telephone to the individuals who need to be in that room. She carries the black archive case. The chamber is lit by candles and a single brass floor lamp in the corner. The heavy velvet curtains are drawn. The portraits of past monarchs line the walls in the half-dark: Queen Victoria, King George V, Queen Elizabeth II. Their painted eyes carrying the weight of everything this institution has survived and everything it has not. Queen Camilla arrives with 2 senior advisors and a presentation folder. She takes her seat at the head of the long table. Her expression is composed, practiced, the expression of someone who has been preparing for this room for a long time. The consultants arrange themselves to her right. The presentation is laid out. Someone places a glass of water at each seat with a quiet efficiency that feels almost theatrical given what is about to occur. Princess Anne enters last. She carries the black archive case. She does not look at the presentation materials. She does not look at the consultants. She sets the case on the table, clicks the brass clasps open, and places a series of documents in a precise row, methodical, unhurried, the way a surgeon lays out instruments before an operation. Then she sits. Queen Camilla speaks first. Her voice is controlled and clear. "This institution needs evolution," she says. "We cannot afford another decade of managed decline. The expansion is not a choice. It is a survival strategy." She pauses for emphasis. History will not be kind to those who chose caution over courage. A long silence follows. Princess Anne's voice, when it comes, is quiet enough that the room has to lean slightly forward to catch it. "No, just that. One syllable. No performance in it. Then, after a measured breath, "It needs credibility." The candles do not move. The portraits stare down. One of the consultants shifts almost imperceptibly in his chair. Then Princess Anne reaches into the archive case and places the real polling data on the table. Face up, in the center, where everyone can see it. The room reads in silence. The manipulated figures, the actual figures, side by side. The gap between them is not subtle. It is not a matter of interpretation or methodology. It is the gap between a story someone needed to tell and the reality that story was designed to replace. One advisor reaches for the documents, then stops, sets his hand back on the table. Queen Camilla does not move. Her expression does not crack. But something beneath it shifts, the small, involuntary recalibration of someone who has just realized that the room is not what they believed it to be going into it. Princess Anne continues, measured, sentence by sentence. The external consultants, their undisclosed connections, the donor interests, the financial structures routing influence into the heart of a modernization campaign that was being sold to the institution as independent, evidence-based, and urgently necessary. It is not a speech. It is a presentation of documented fact, delivered without emotion, which makes it considerably more devastating than any speech could be. And then Princess Anne says the thing that nobody in the room was prepared for. "Someone inside the council brought this to me," she says. "Months ago. They understood what was happening before the rest of us were willing to look." A pause. Queen Camilla's eyes move slowly across the faces in the room. She finds the one she is looking for. The recognition is immediate and quiet and absolute. The aide in question does not look away. This is the moment everything changes, and you are watching it unfold before anyone else knows. Hit subscribe and tap the bell icon right now. Every upload goes to our subscribers first. Don't be the last one to find out what happens next. The council fractures within minutes. Not dramatically. Not with raised voices or upturned chairs. It fractures the way institutional alliances always fracture when the thing holding them together is suddenly gone. Quietly, systematically, each person recalculating their position with the specific urgency of someone who does not want to be the last one still standing in the wrong place. The lead consultant closes his presentation folder. He does not reopen it. His colleague begins making notes on a yellow legal pad. Not notes about the meeting, it becomes clear, but contact names and numbers. Arrangements of a private kind. Two senior advisors who arrived in full support of the expansion begin, carefully, to reframe their involvement. They were consultants, they say. They raised concerns. They had flagged the pace. They had suggested further review. Their loyalty, they want the room to understand, has always been to the institution rather than to any particular initiative. Queen Camilla does not accept this without resistance. "You are describing sabotage," she says, her voice steady but stripped of its earlier composure. "You have taken a private investigation, conducted without authorization, without transparency, and you are using it to dismantle a reform program this institution desperately needs." She looks at Princess Anne directly. "You could have come to me." Princess Anne holds her gaze. Her answer is unhurried. "I came to the evidence first." The final document goes onto the table. A report signed by 7 internal household members across 3 departments: legal, communications, and finance. All 7 witnessed. All 7 dated. All 7 describing, in their own language, the same fundamental concern. The proposal cannot proceed. It is not a vote. It is not a confrontation. It is simply, at this point, a fact. Queen Camilla looks at the document. She looks at the signatures. She sets it back down. She does not look up for a long time. The proposal is suspended indefinitely. No official statement is issued. No briefing is given to the press. The palace enters what those inside it will later describe, in private and in hushed tones, as a period of strategic quiet, the institutional equivalent of a held breath. The public knows nothing yet. Queen Camilla's Modernization Council does not meet again. The media rollout timeline is quietly archived. The speechwriters are released. The consultants return to the work of other clients in other industries. their connection to this chapter of palace history entirely unacknowledged. Queen Camilla fulfills her official duties without interruption. She appears at engagements. She smiles where smiling is required. She says nothing about any of it. Not publicly, not in any briefing, not to any correspondent, however trusted. Princess and returns to her schedule the following morning as though the previous night did not happen. She attends 2 official engagements before noon. She shakes hands. She listens. She says exactly as much as is necessary and nothing more. But something has settled. Not victory. Not defeat. Something more durable than either, a recalibration. A line, quietly redrawn, that everyone in that chamber now understands is not to be crossed again. Leadership is not visibility. Leadership is restraint. Institutions do not die from silence. They die when image begins to outrun integrity, when the story being told about an institution becomes more important to those running it than the institution itself. Princess and has spent 50 years understanding that distinction. Last night she enforced it, and now as she descends the East Wing staircase in the early morning quiet, her heels precise on the marble, the black archive case in her left hand, her phone vibrates. She stops. One message. Unknown number. 3 words. This isn't over. Princess and reads it once. Slides the phone into her coat pocket. Continues down the staircase without breaking stride. She already knows. So here is the question that matters. Was Princess Anne right to act alone? To conduct a private investigation without informing King Charles, without confronting Queen Camilla directly, and without giving the expansion a chance to defend itself through official channels? Or did Queen Camilla genuinely see something the old guard refuses to accept? That the monarchy's survival depends on bold reinvention, and that the people blocking change are the real threat to the crown. And if you had been in that chamber when Princess Anne placed those documents on the table, whose side would you have taken? Share your answer in the comments. We read every single one, and this conversation is far from finished. If you found this video interesting, please like it. Share it with fellow royal watchers who follow the real story behind the palace walls. And subscribe if you haven't already. Hit the bell so you never miss an upload. Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and I'll see you next time.